at the beginning here, chapter 23 and chapter 24, bit by bit, of the book Joshua, otherwise known as Yahawashi. Some call him Yeshua, or some call him that, but Joshua, Yahawashi, chapter 23 and chapter 24. I'm going to read from verse 1, and I'm going to read down to verse 9. Actually, from verse 1 down to verse 9. Yes, we'll start with that. And it came to pass, a long time after, that Yahweh had given rest unto Israel from all their enemies round about, that Yahawashi, Joshua, waxed old and stricken in age. And Joshua called for all Israel, and for their elders, and for their heads, and for their judges, and for their officers, and said unto them, I am old and stricken in age, and ye have seen all that Yahweh your Elohim have done unto all these nations because of you. For Yahweh your Elohim is he that fought for you. Behold, I have divided unto you by lot these nations that remain, to be an inheritance for your tribes, from Jordan, with all the nations that have cut off, even unto the great sea westward. And Yahweh your Elohim, he shall expel them from before you, and drive them from out of your sight, and ye shall possess their land, as Yahweh your Elohim hath promised you. Be ye therefore very courageous to keep and to do all that is written in the book of the law of Moses, that ye turn not aside therein from the right hand or to the left, that ye come not among these nations, these that remain among you, neither make mention of the name of their gods, nor cause to swear by them, neither serve them, nor bow yourselves unto them, but cleave unto Yahweh your Elohim, as ye have done unto this day. For Yahweh hath driven out great nations and strong, but as for you, no man hath been able to stand before you unto this day. Okay? So he's rehearsing what the Most High has done. These are the children of the rebellious ones that didn't go in first. Their children were faithful and they went in. Okay, so let's continue. Joshua chapter 23 from verse 10 down to verse 16, the end of the chapter. Joshua chapter 23 from verse 10 down to verse 16, the end of the chapter. One man of you shall chase 1,000. For Yahweh your Elohim, he it is that fighteth for you, as he hath promised. Take good heed therefore unto yourselves, that ye love Yahweh your Elohim. Else if ye do in any wise go back, and cleave unto the remnant of these nations, even these that remain among you, and shall make marriages with them, and go in unto them, and they to you, know for a certainty that Yahweh your Elohim will no more drive out any of these nations from before you, but they shall be snares and traps unto you, and scourges in your sides, and thorns in your eyes, until ye perish from off this good land which Yahweh your Elohim have given you. Behold, this day I am going the way of all the earth, and ye know in all your hearts and in all your souls that not one thing hath failed of all the good things which Yahweh your Elohim spake concerning you. All are come to pass unto you, and not one thing hath failed thereof. Therefore it shall come to pass that as all good things are come upon you, which Yahweh your Elohim promised you, so shall Yahweh bring upon you all evil things, until he have destroyed you from off this good land, which Yahweh your Elohim have given you. When ye have transgressed the covenant of Yahweh your Elohim, which he commanded you, and have gone and served other gods, and bowed yourselves to them, then shall the anger of Yahweh be kindled against you, and ye shall perish quickly from off the good land which he hath given you. So he gives a prophecy. He not only tells them to be faithful to the Most High, but he says, when you start to worship other gods, he's going to destroy you and take you off this land. So he gives a prophecy as well. He's given a prophecy and a warning for them not to go and worship other gods. Again, brothers and sisters, we understand we are worshiping Yah when we are worshiping his words. Man shall not live by bread only or by food only, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of Yah shall man live. So we know we're worshiping him when we're living by his words. Does that make sense, brothers and sisters? If we're going against his words and his commandments, we're worshiping something else. Because either, he said, whether you're going to keep his commandments or no. He's proven you whether you're going to keep his commandments or no. So either you're worshiping him or you're not. So if you're worshiping, if you're not following his words, his laws, his commandments and teachings, then you're following another God. So he told them, when they go to follow another God for them anymore, he's going to cause them to be swept off the land too. Let's continue. Joshua chapter 24, 10. And Joshua gathered all the tribes of Israel to Shechem, and called for the elders of Israel, and for their heads, and for their judges, and for their officers. And they presented themselves before Elohim. And Joshua said unto all the people, Thus saith Yahweh, Elohim of Israel, your fathers dwelt on the other side of the flood in old time, even Terah, the father of Abraham, and the father of Nachor, and they served other gods. And I took your father Abraham from the other side of the flood, and led him throughout all the land of Canaan, and multiplied his seed, and gave him Isaac. And I gave unto Isaac Jacob and Esau. And I gave unto Esau Mount Seir to possess it. But Jacob and his children went down into Egypt. And I sent Moses also and Aaron, and I plagued Egypt, according to that which I did among them. And after I brought you out. And I brought your fathers out of Egypt, and ye came unto the sea. And the Egyptians pursued after your fathers with chariots and horsemen unto the Red Sea. And when they cried unto Yahweh, he put darkness between you and the Egyptians, and brought the sea upon them, and covered them. And your eyes have seen what I have done in Egypt. And ye dwelt in the wilderness a long season. And I brought you into the land of the Amorites, which dwelt on the other side of Jordan. And they fought with you, and I hand, that you might possess their land. And I destroyed them from before you. Then Bor, king of Moab, arose and warred against Israel, and sent and called Balaam, the son of Beor, to curse you. But I would not hearken unto Balaam. Therefore he blessed you still. So I delivered you out of his hand. So again, he's giving them the history of where they come from. Brothers and sisters, let us not forget, again, let us not forget where the Most High has brought us from. Physical dangers and spiritual dangers, how he has delivered us. Let us not forget where he had brought us from, and how all his promises that he made come true upon us. Let us not forget that. As the Israelites, this is what Joshua is explaining to them. This is your history, and I brought you out. I brought you out, and I dispossessed nations for you. I overcame nations for you. I fought for you. And as we said last week, he will fight for us again. But he wants us to not worship other gods. Not worship the gods of the nations. We're going to talk about that. Now we're going to read from chapter 24 of Joshua, from verse 10. I'm going to read from verse 10 down to verse 18. But I would not hearken unto Balaam, therefore he blessed you still, so I delivered you out of his hand. And ye went over Jordan, and came unto Jericho. And the men of Jericho fought against you, the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Girgashites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites. And I delivered them into your hand. And I sent the hornet before you, which drave them out from before you, even the 2 kings of the Amorites, but not with thy sword, nor with thy bow. And I have given you a land for which ye did not labor, and cities which ye built not, and ye dwell in them. Of the vineyards and olive yards which ye planted not, do ye eat. Now therefore fear Yahweh and serve him in sincerity and in truth, and put away the gods which your fathers served on the other side of the flood and in Egypt, and serve ye Yahweh. And if it seem evil unto you to serve Yahweh, choose you this day whom ye will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land ye dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve Yahweh. And the people answered and said, Aliyim forbid that we should forsake Yahweh to serve other gods. For Yahweh, our Aliyim, he it is that brought us up and our fathers out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage, which did those great signs in our sight, and preserved us in all the way wherein we went, among all the people through whom we passed. And Yahweh drave out from before us the Amorites which dwelt in the land. Therefore, we will also serve Yahweh. He is our Aliyim. Okay? So when he talks about, I just want to clarify, when he talks about the other side of the flood, he's talking about the other side of the Euphrates River, because Abraham and his father Terah and his brother Nahor, they were on the other side of the Euphrates River, and they crossed the Euphrates to get to that side of the land, what Abraham did to get to the land of Canaan. They came from the east, and they crossed the Euphrates to get to the land of Canaan. Okay, so he says they served other gods when they were over there, but I called Abraham from there to serve me. And Abraham for righteousness. So Abraham became obedient to the covenant of the Most High. And he is expecting the children of Abraham to also be obedient and not serve the gods of the other nations. Okay? Okay? Now, in the Bible, the gods of the other nations, I'm going to say some controversial things right now. So be careful. In the Bible, the gods of the other nations were known by their name. Okay? So it was who you serve. Who is your God that you serve? Well, for some people, it was Chemosh. It was a god named Chemosh. For others, for the Philistine, it was a god named Dagon. They served different gods based on their names. Egypt served Ra. Okay? They served different gods. Egypt served Ra. The Ephesians served Diana, a goddess. Okay? And then others served Balaam. Right? So they were known by the gods. There was no such thing as what we have today. But today, I want to make sure you hear me. Testing 1, 2, 3. The day in which we live right now, the gods of the people are known by their denominations. There's a God for the Baptists, the Baptist God. There's the Mormon God. There's the SDA God. There's the Jehovah's Witness God. And they're not the same gods. How do we know? Because they contradict each other. They don't even agree with each other. Are you following me? They don't even agree with each other. Okay? And they're all from Rome. That's right, they're all from Rome. And they're different gods. Okay? That's how they're known. Before there was the name of God. So now, most of them use the same name. So the Roman Catholics will call on, they'll say Holy Father, and they'll say Jesus, and they'll say Mary. They'll use these names. And then, of course, the Jehovah's Witnesses say Jehovah. The Baptists say Jesus. And most of your evangelicals say Jesus, and they'll say God as something arbitrary. But to the Hebrew, it's always been about Yah. It's always been about Yah. Short for Yahweh, or Yahweh, some people will call him, but he's the true creator, Yah. Always been about him. Okay? But all these other gods are separate gods. They're not the same. Because, brothers and sisters, let me say this to you. If in religions serve the same God, then he must be a confused God, because he's got one group of people doing one thing and he's got another group of people doing another thing. Does that make sense, brothers and sisters? So they must be confused, because he's telling one group of people one thing, and he's telling another group of people another thing. So if he's the same God for all of these people, it's confusion, man. But no, he's not the same God, because Yah only has one covenant, and he has one Messiah, and he has one law that he gives to his one people. Okay? Not a whole bunch. And so Joshua is telling them, if you want to serve all them other gods, you go ahead. And this is where it's important what he said. It says in the King James, me and my house will serve the Lord. But no, that's not what it really said. As for me and my house, we will serve YHWH. That's what it really says. We will serve YHWH, Yahweh. That's his name. We're serving that one. We're not serving the Baptist God, the Jehovah Witness God, the Catholic Church God, the Islamic God, the Judaism God. We're not serving any of them. We're serving Yahweh. Yah. That's who we serve. And we're keeping his commandments, statutes, and judgments. This is important, brothers and sisters, because look, I'm going to tell you a story. After we finish reading the rest of Joshua, I'm going to tell you a story. All right? It's a true story. All right? And it's going to be relevant to what we're talking about here. So let's continue. Joshua chapter 24. I'm going to read from and you see that the people said, we're not going to serve the other gods. We're going to serve Yahweh. He brought us out of Egypt. He brought our fathers out of there. He showed us the great signs. We're going to serve him. He is our Aliyim. They said that. Okay? Notice what Joshua responds. Chapter 24 from verse 19 down to verse 28. And Joshua said unto the people, ye cannot serve Yahweh, for he is an holy Aliyim. He is a jealous Aliyim. He will not forgive your transgressions nor your sins. If you forsake Yahweh and serve strange gods, then he will turn and do you hurt and consume you. After that he hath done you good. And the people said unto Joshua, nay, but we will serve Yahweh. And Joshua said unto the people, ye are witnesses against yourselves, that ye have chosen you, Yahweh, to serve him. And they said, we are witnesses. Now therefore put away, said he, the strange gods which are among you, and incline your heart unto Yahweh, Aliyim of Israel. And the people said unto Joshua, Yahweh, our Aliyim, we will serve, and his voice we will obey. And Joshua made a covenant with the people that day, and set them a statute and an ordinance in Shechem. And Joshua wrote these words in the book of the law of Aliyim, and took a great stone and set it up there under an oak, and that was by the sanctuary of Yahweh. And Joshua said unto all the people, behold, this stone shall be a witness unto us, for it hath heard all the words of Yahweh which ye spake unto us, and it shall be therefore a witness unto you, lest ye deny your Aliyim. Okay, so Joshua let the people depart, every man unto his inheritance. So they made an agreement to enter into covenant relationship as a people with the Most High. And he said, be careful. You can't this ain't one of them fake gods. You know, if you start going and cheating on him with other gods, he's gonna hurt you. They said, no, we're gonna serve Yahweh. We're gonna serve the Most High. We're gonna serve him. We're not going any other place. Okay, let's finish the chapter from verse 29 down to verse 33. And it came to pass after these things that Joshua the son of Nun, the servant of Yahweh, died, being 110 years old. And they buried him in the border of his inheritance in Timnath-serah, which is in Mount Ephraim, on the north side of the hill of Gaash. And Israel served Yahweh all the days of Joshua, and all the days of the elders that overlived Joshua, which had known all the works of Yahweh that he had done for Israel. And the bones of Joseph, which the children of Israel brought up out of Egypt, buried they in Shechem, in a parcel of ground which Jacob bought of the sons of Amor, the father of Shechem, for 100 pieces of silver, and it became an inheritance of the children of Joseph. And Eleazar the son of Aaron died, and they buried him in a hill that pertained to Phinehas his son, which is given him in Mount Ephraim. So Ephraim at this point was the central place. You can see that, right? It wasn't Jerusalem in Judah. It was Ephraim. It was Shechem and Shiloh in Ephraim. That's where the central place of worship was when they first came into the land. It was in Ephraim, which is Joseph's inheritance. Okay, Joseph had two parts. He had Ephraim and he had Manasseh. But Ephraim was given the blessing of the firstborn, though he wasn't the firstborn. And so therefore, the blessing came on Ephraim. And so that's where they started, in Ephraim. Now I'm going to tell you a story. There was a time when the Israelites were faithful to Yah. But then they started seesawing, right? They started going back and forth. They would serve other gods until they got in trouble. Then they come back and serve Yah. Then they got serving Yah. They started serving other gods till they got in trouble. Then they came back and served Yah. And this went on back and forth for many centuries. Are you following my story so far? It went back and forth for many centuries. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay. Then the Messiah appeared the first time. And the leaders of Israel rejected the Messiah. The common people received the Messiah. He chose disciples, followers of the Messiah. The people, the leaders of the people schemed against the Messiah, Yah's son, handed him over to the Romans, and the Romans put him to death. He was innocent. He rose from the dead on the third day, and he appeared unto his disciples for the next 40 days. Then he left, telling his disciples they were going to receive power to spread the message of justification by faith, which is the gospel, to Israel, Judah, Samaria, and to the uttermost parts of the earth. They did their job, and they gave the gospel to Gentiles, so that Gentiles became part of the chosen people by faith. They are part of the commonwealth of Israel through the Messiah. Okay? Over the centuries, though, the leaders started dying, just like the elders of Joshua died. And their children and their children's children started returning to their ancient pagan ways. And it got to the point where a man named Constantine became emperor in Rome. And Constantine decided to create a thing called Christianity, which was a mixture of paganism and things from the Torah. And over the centuries, the Europeans and the sons of Japhet got hold of this Christianity, and it became really dark, so that it became straight up pure paganism with the name of Jesus Christos upon it. So that they became pagans, but they called themselves Christians. Then there arose people who got a hold of the ancient scrolls of the Hebrews. And they were learned enough in Hebrew and Greek to understand the words. And they started seeing contradictions in the pagan Christianity they had been taught and what they read in the scrolls of the Hebrews. And they started questioning them. Men like John Huss and Martin Luther and Zwingli. And this went on for many centuries, and the pagan Christianity of Rome would stomp these men out as quickly as they could. But the men kept asking questions until it became a protest. And let me explain. They were protesting the dogmas of Rome. They did not want to destroy the Roman Church. They wanted the Roman Church to change. So they were going to keep the same structure. They just wanted different doctrines, which they learned in the word from the Hebrews. Rome wasn't with that. So these people separated from Rome and became Protestants. Protestants. They had the same structure of their religious facilities that Rome did. But they believed some of the truths of some of the scrolls from the Hebrew. Centuries went by. Now, when you got to 1798, Rome received a deadly wound so that its political power was weakened. Its religious power was still strong, but its political power, which it used to control the consciences of men, also was weakened. And at this time, certain Europeans started investigating the scriptures because it was prophesied that they would. And they started investigating Daniel. And they started coming to conclusions that there were certain prophecies in Daniel that were about to be fulfilled. And they felt like the Messiah was going to appear very shortly the second time. Are you following my story so far? Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay. In the midst of these people, there was this man that was at first an atheist and later became an agnostic. In other words, he didn't believe in any God at first, a European man in upstate New York named William Miller. And then he started understanding there was some sort of creator because he couldn't deny the creation, so he became an agnostic. He wanted to discover in the scriptures the falsehood of Christianity for himself. But while he started studying the scriptures, and brothers and sisters, he didn't ask nobody. He studied on his own, the Bible, with a concordance. And he became a follower, a disciple of Jesus, Christos, who we call Yahawashi in Jesus Christ. He became a follower from studying the scriptures on his own. And he was convinced that certain prophecies pointed to 1844 as a certain as some sort of event. And he at that time surmised that the event must be the return of the Messiah. So there was a great movement in the 1830s of Europeans in America and in different parts of the world that believed Messiah was returning, actually in 1843. Okay? They called them at first Millerites because it was this man, William Miller, that preached about it the strongest. But then later they called them Adventists because they believed in the second coming, which is a term, Advent. They believed in the second Advent. These were Europeans. They didn't have all the light that we have today, but they had in most of the people around them because they were reading their Bible. Reading their Bible. Are you following me so far? So they're reading their Bible. 1843 comes and Messiah doesn't return. So then they figured out, oh, we made a mistake. It was 1844. 1844 comes, Messiah doesn't return. Then they discover that the Bible shows us there's a sanctuary in heaven. They discover this doctrine that there's a sanctuary in heaven. See, we know that to be true now because but I'm saying they didn't have the light that we have. They discover that in that heavenly sanctuary, there's the Ark of the Covenant. And within it, they understand the covenant to be the 10 Commandments. And they start understanding that they should be keeping the Sabbath. What did they do then? Within 20 years, they created their own institution. And they immediately started going back to their pagan ways within 20 years. Because brothers and sisters, let me tell you, the Most High gave his truth to the Hebrews. And they're going to proclaim it. Pagans are going to do what pagans do. And they went back and they created institutions and they went back into the institutionalized ways that they actually learned from Rome. Are you still following my story? They went back to the paganized ways that they actually got from Rome with their institutions and their glorification of man. That's what they're used to. That goes all the way back past Rome. It goes all the way back to ancient Babylon in Egypt, where they glorified man as God. So now, the light, though, from heaven is still shining on the earth. And as the decades go by, people are starting to be awakened to the Bible. And in these last days, in 2016, people are studying the scriptures for themselves and discovering truths that were heretofore unseen. Why? Because now it's Hebrews getting it. And they're awakening. And what we are discovering, brothers and sisters, is Ezekiel chapter 36 is being fulfilled. You all know Ezekiel 36, right? Can these bones live? Remember, he said, we went into a valley and it was full of bones. That's Ezekiel 37. And he said, can these bones live? And most people don't preach this one. It's a valley full of dry bones. And he said, what is this? He said, son of man, these bones represent the whole house of Israel. That's what he said. This is the whole house of Israel. It was a valley full of dry bones. In other words, dead people, nobody existing. And he says, son of man, can these bones live? And he prophesied on the bones, and the breath from the Most High came on the bones, and the bones became living people and became a great army. Are you following my story? So now the bones are awakening. And the prophecies being fulfilled. Heretofore, there have been never a people that were dry bones that everybody said, this used to be a people and they're not people anymore. Never before in history had you seen this. But now you are seeing it. It's being fulfilled. Brothers and sisters, most people don't even recognize when prophecy is being fulfilled right in front of them. We are blessed in that we can see it. It's being fulfilled right in front of us. And so, brothers and sisters, he's awakening his Hebrew people to who they are, where they come from, how they got into their present state. And the dry bones are coming to life. And now there's a separation. And the separation is this, because brothers and sisters, the Bible shows us the truth. Everybody would have you believe, well, if we all were in the truth, we would all come together. That's a lie. That's a straight up lie. Messiah never taught that. He said, if you start following the gospel, it's going to be a separating sword. It separates. The truth separates. It separates. And I'm going to tell you something, brothers and sisters. The Most High, the true God, the only true God, Yah, is separate from all the other ones. He's separate from all the other ones. And that separation is being made manifest right now. And so he is again raising up his people who are going to follow his word. See, in 1840s, they were trying to study the Bible, but first they were sons of Japhet. And you see, this is the thing. The sons of Japhet in the first century, listen to me carefully, the first century converts to the gospel were sons of Japhet, but they became Hebrews. They're a whole different class of people than the ones that come around in the 18th and 19th century. Whole different class of people. See, back there, they knew they were Hebrews. They knew they were grafted in to the stock of Abraham. They knew Yah. But see, over the centuries, Christianity came. And Rome rose up. And they took away the Bible. And people on the Bible wasn't reading it. And people didn't understand it when they did read it. Because they were confused with the doctrines of Rome. even when they separated, they immediately created institutions that were similar to Rome, because that's all they knew. Even in the 1840s, they created institutions, what they called a church, a denomination. Now, brothers and sisters, we could look back today in the Bible, and let me ask, is denomination mentioned in any place of the Bible? In prophecy, is there denomination mentioned anywhere? Is there any place that's going to come a denomination in the last days? Is it mentioned anywhere? Testing 1, 2, 3. Do you see it anywhere in the Bible? No, it's not there. What we do see, though, in so many places I can't even begin to count, is we see the resurrection of the nation of Israel. What we do see is the revival among his people of the truth, of the word and of the Torah. That's what we see. See, up until now, it's always had to be somebody's denomination or church, because that comes from Rome. Brothers and sisters, the first denomination was Rome. Before Rome, there was no denomination that followed Yah or Messiah. It was Rome. That's the first institution you got. The disciples never made an institution. They didn't have to, because they knew who they were. But Rome did. And all the churches are following Rome's blueprint. That's what they're doing. They're following Rome's blueprint, except the seed of Abraham. The seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Hebrew stock, is not following Rome's blueprint. They're following the blueprint of the Torah, of the word alone. They don't need Mary to intercede for them. They don't need to be members of a denomination to be saved. They need the Messiah, and that's all. And they worship Yah, and there's no other God. And they're following his word. It's very simple with the Hebrews. It gets complicated when you're moving over into Rome's institution, but it's very simple with the Hebrews. Very simple. And so Joshua rose up and said, you know, who you going to serve? He's asking the Hebrews. Your fathers served pagan gods. And on the other side, when they were over there in Ur the Chaldees. But the Most High Yah, he brought us out of Egypt and brought us here. So tell me, who you going to serve? Because as to me and my house, we serving Yah. And today, the question is still asked, who you serving? Your Baptist God? Because he ain't the same as Yah. Because your Baptist God tells you to eat pork and worship white European Jesus. That's not Yah. Who you serving? Your Pentecostal God? The one that tell you to foam at the mouth and call it some strange tongue and keep Sunday holy? That's not Yah. That's a different God. Who you going to serve? Your SDA God with Ellen White? And Ellen White's going to be your guide all the way through the end? She's your last and greatest prophet? That's not Yah. That's not him. With the female pastors and elders and the NIV Bible, that's not him. That's a different God. Who you going to serve? And Joshua said to them, make your decision. And they said, no, we're going to serve Yah. He brought us out here. We're going to serve him. Joshua said, this rock is a witness between you and the Most High. You said you were serving Yah. Yes, we serving Yah. And the people of Joshua's generation, and the Bible said that the elders that outlived Joshua, they served Yah. Except this the difference. In the day and age in which we live, brothers and sisters, these are the last days, man. This is not, there's not going to be a lot of generations after us. This is it. We at the end of this thing. If it's a game, we in the fourth quarter in the last 2 minutes. The 2-minute warning has been sounded, and we are at the end of the game. And we got to make decisions. Who we going to serve? That's why we don't need to argue with Baptists, Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses. They serving different gods. They're not serving the same God we serve. They don't serve Yah. This is what happens, brothers and sisters. Let me tell you. All of these denominations, and you tell me if I'm telling the truth, they always that you and them are serving the same God. It's just that you're serving him wrong. That's what they always. They try to convince you. You guys are really serving the same God. You know, we're all Christians, and you're just serving him wrong. You know, you should. You know, you don't have the Bible. No, no, no. Cain and Abel didn't serve the same God because Cain was rejected. Okay, Egyptians and Hebrews didn't serve the same God because the Egyptians fought against him. Baptists, Pentecostals, we don't serve the same God. We serve Yah. We don't need Mary. We don't need any church denomination institution as our intercessor. Okay? And this is the thing. When you're a servant of Yah, it's your personal choice and decision. Are you following me? It's your personal choice and decision as to who you're going to serve, because it's nobody else's salvation at stake. It's nobody else's eternal destiny. It's yours. So you got to make your decision as to who you most. So either you're with him or you're not. You can't string him along. He wants to know whose side you on. So when you decide to serve him, then you serving him. If you're not, you serving something else. Because he's not having it with these other gods. He's not having it. That's right. Choose you this day who you will serve. Right? So he's having people make decisions as to who they're going to serve. And when you are serving, and this is what happens, brothers and sisters. This is what happens. We all come from pagan backgrounds in our generations. All of us come from pagan backgrounds. All of us do. We're all affected before we meet the Most High and study his word for ourselves and receive of his perfect righteousness. We are under the influence of paganism. With our Christmas and Easter and Halloween, and our churchianity, we are under paganism. And we're all influenced by it. We're all influenced by it. And what happens is, as human beings, just like dogs are social animals. You can't leave a dog by itself. It's going to get sad. It's going to get sad if it's by itself too long. But if it's around, it likes to be around its master, its people, because it's a social animal. We like that too. We social animals. And people will sometimes compromise the truth because they are lonely for fellowship. And you know what that's like? Let me tell you what that's like. That's like a woman who's represented as the body of Christ, and she's lonely because her man is away. Maybe he's at war. Maybe he's on a business trip, but he's gone for a while and she ain't seen him, touched him, and she smells his clothes and she remembers him, but he's not there. So what does she do? She goes to a bar with her friends because she's lonely. Do you think her husband or her man is good with that? Do you think he's good with that? No. So what would you say? Shoot, if you want your man, stay lonely then, and just be lonely until he gets back. But let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. If compromising the truth, if I gotta go to one of these pagan churches, these pagan Christian churches, and compromise the truth, look, I'll just be lonely. I'm gonna stay with the truth with Yah. I'm just gonna be lonely then. Period. Period. You understand what I'm saying? I want fellowship as much as anybody else, man. But when it comes to compromising the truth, I'm not going to sit up in some pagan church listening to foolishness because I want to be around people. You following me? Testing 1, 2, 3. Choose who you're going to serve. When you're a follower of the Most High Yah, you individually are serving him. It's between you and him. Yes, it's nice to have fellowship. If you can get 1 or 2 families with you to worship on the Sabbath, that's great. But if not, you just be alone then. if you're going to be a servant of the Most High. Somebody said, well, I just visited the Mormon church because I didn't have nobody to fellowship with and they were there. That's no excuse. The Most High is jealous. What you doing going to pagans for? What they going to teach you? And you surely they're not going to listen to you. So what you doing? What you doing? Who you are serving? Are you serving Yah or are you serving some other God, the God of the Mormons? The God that talked to Joseph Smith. Are you serving that one? Or are you serving Yah? Because Yah ain't talked to Joseph Smith. He ain't gone to Utah and say nothing to that man. You understand what I'm saying? And that could go for any denomination. The same thing. Who you serving? Because, brothers and sisters, the awakening has begun. The bones are coming together. Bone coming together with bone. That he had breathing his spirit on the people. And the people are going into the Bible and getting their answers. It's not a lot of people. It's a remnant people. A remnant people of Israel, Yasha'al. They are getting into the scripture. He's preparing them to bring forth a final warning message of the 144,000 to the earth. You see, my wife and I were talking, and people are concerned about Donald Trump. You have a lot of people that are concerned about Donald Trump and worried about. We have people saying, well, if Trump becomes president, I'm leaving the country. Let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. Hebrews ain't worried about who becomes president. Our faith is not in who's the president. Our faith is in Yah. You understand? It don't matter. Hitler can become president. That doesn't matter to us. We are followers of the Most High. That's the business of the pagans. That's not our business. You understand? So it don't matter who it is. If it's Hillary or Trump or Bump or whoever it is. It doesn't matter. We are followers of the Most High, and they can't do anything without his permission. And we know what he's doing. He's seeking to put the seal on the 144,000. That's what he's doing. So our focus is not on who the president is and what they're going to do to the country. Our focus is, are we getting ready to receive the seal? Are we getting ready to receive the seal or aren't we? And if we're going to receive the seal of Yah, we got to be serving Yah. We got to be serving Yah. See, you see what I'm saying? We don't have to worry about who the president is. That's not in your control. They manipulate that. They choose. You think you choosing the president. You ain't choosing nobody. They put that in there. They make you think you choosing somebody. That's all. They make you think you choosing somebody. They already chose. So that don't matter. You understand? That don't matter. But we serve Yah. We serve the Most High. So it doesn't matter what they're doing. We are scattered. We are pilgrims and strangers in the earth. We are scattered, brothers and sisters. So no matter where we are, we're serving the Most High. Okay, we're serving the Most High. That's our God. That's our God. Okay. Amen. Amen. That's the message for today. Let's have